Alright, we all have that one game, that one hill we die on. Doesn't matter if it's a sweaty FPS, a cozy farming sim, or even Candy Crush. We'd go to war for it. For some folks, it's Mario Kart. For others, it's Dark Souls. And for Battlefield players, well, it's a Battlefield. The question is simple, but eternal. What's the greatest Battlefield ever made? Now, you might already be angrily typing, hey, it's Battlefield 3. And honestly, that's a fair point. That game redefined modern military mayhem. Or maybe you're a Battlefield 4 disciple. You remember Levolutions? Collapsing skyscrapers, sinking battleships. It was all pure spectacle. But hear me out. After painstaking research, by which I mean screaming at my screen while wearing this definitely too historically accurate outfit, I've come up with the answer. A game that didn't just evolve the franchise, it detonated expectations. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Battlefield 1. Alright, let's dive into why Battlefield 1 stands apart, starting with the audacious choice of a setting, World War I. Now, if you were pitching a video game concept to sell a lot of copies, you don't typically think of trench warfare and bolt-action rifles. Most people just picture static lines, mud, and misery, and that's for good reason. I mean, this war was pretty brutal. Yet DICE, being the mad geniuses that they are, they didn't just make a game set in World War I. They made an entire experience that felt historically grounded, yet deeply engaging. They took a war that's consistently remembered in black and white, and they painted it in vibrant, somber beauty. I mean, the visuals, they still hold up to today's standards. If you go in and look, the skyboxes, for example, they're not just mere backdrops, they're paintings of beauty and awe above chaotic battlegrounds. Light filters through the smoke, textures of rubble and ruin stretch for miles, and every map feels enormous, alive, and terrifyingly real. It's a visual feast even when you're knee-deep in virtual mud. But it's not just pretty pictures. Battlefield 1 captures that raw, visceral immersion of the time. And this isn't clean, modern combat by any means. It's gritty, desperate chaos. Charging no man's land with a bayonet fixed, explosions shaking the earth, and tanks rumbling around like monsters. I mean, it's all just intense. And what's great about this game is it doesn't sanitize the brutality. It takes every moment and it makes it count. Every fight feels personal. You're not some super soldier in this game. You're a speck in a storm, and that makes it all the more compelling. Now, something I have to talk about is the beating heart of the multiplayer in this game, and that's operations. This isn't just another game mode like Conquest or Domination. This is a multi-map, narrative-driven epic. You're not just capturing flags, you're pushing front lines, fighting for every agonizing inch of ground across a series of interconnected battles. And don't get me wrong, traditional Battlefield game modes like Conquest are fantastic, especially for sandbox chaos and player freedom. But they can lack that overarching sense of purpose, that feeling of being a part of something bigger than yourself. And Operation takes that and flips it completely on its head. It wraps the chaos in a grand historical arc. Cinematic intros, voiceovers, clear goals. I mean, every push, every defense, every desperate last stand matters. And you're not just playing a 10 to 15 minute round, you're participating in a full-blown campaign. And then there's the behemoths. When your team is on the ropes facing annihilation and that monstrous dreadnought or zeppelin comes into the fray. It's not just a power-up, it's a statement. Some say it's a gimmick, but in practice, it's a jaw-dropping spectacle. A comeback mechanic that forces strategy shifts, inspires comebacks, and delivers unforgettable moments. I mean, the scale, the sound, the visual impact, and when your team finally takes one down, pure cinematic glory. It's the kind of mode where losing feels epic, like you were part of something meaningful. You're living through a story. You're not just shooting pixels. Moments become memories. That last desperate push, that narrow defense line, the chaos, the camaraderie. Okay, let's address the often overlooked, maligned part of most Battlefield games, the single-player campaign. Historically, they've been, well, there. Usually just a brief linear tutorial for the multiplayer or a generic hero saves the world plot that feels out of place in a series known for such large-scale chaotic warfare. But Battlefield 1 did something different, something meaningful. Its war story anthology format didn't just turn you into some one-man army. You step into the boots of soldiers across multiple fronts in the Great War. A nervous tank driver earning his crew's trust, a reckless pilot navigating dogfights, a Bedouin warrior resisting empire. And what was the result? We got a more human, layered perspective on such a big global conflict. It plays out like a mini-series, with each story adding emotional depth, varied gameplay, and an angle that most shooters tend to skip entirely. Just for example, the prologue, Storm of Steel, an absolute gut punch. You control a line of doomed soldiers, each name appearing briefly before it's gone. It could be frustrating, but it's not. It's haunting. It drives home just how fleeting life was in World War I, and it casts a long shadow over every respawn you have in multiplayer. And in my opinion, it's a surprisingly thoughtful choice in a game that's filled with explosions and objectives. It doesn't let you forget, behind every soldier there's a story, and for some, they were tragically short. Now behind the grand narrative and stunning visuals, Battlefield 1 shines in its gameplay mechanics. The gunplay feels incredibly weighty and satisfying, especially with bolt-action rifles. Every shot feels impactful, demanding precision and rewarding skill. It's not about spraying and praying like in Call of Duty, it's about making your shots count, often in desperate situations. While some might have preferred more modern customization options, what they did with the arsenal makes it feel very time appropriate. Even after years since release, Battlefield 1 continues to draw players back. While newer, shinier Battlefield titles have emerged and are on the horizon, the unique blend of its historical setting, unparalleled atmosphere, and the epic scale of operations keeps its community thriving. So there you have it. For me, the title of greatest Battlefield ever made isn't about the biggest explosions or the most advanced tech. It's about how a game makes you feel, how deeply it immerses you, and how effectively it tells a story even in the chaos of multiplayer. Battlefield 1 took a huge creative risk with World War I, and it paid off. It delivered something historically resonant and genuinely engaging, a bold vision that actually landed. Now, if you'll excuse me, I think I've earned some R&R. This wool outfit does not do well under studio lights.